All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're talking about the Seattle Seahawks in today's video. Now, we've been talking about them all summer. All summer. You have a brand new head coach. He's 37 years old. No more 70-year-old Pete Carroll. I love Pete Carroll. Everyone loves Pete Carroll. Always will, always have. But needed a change of scenery, right? Shane Waldron switched out for Ryan Grubb. The point was, Seattle needed a change of scenery and they needed a change of direction because the team on paper is extremely talented. Geno Smith is an above average quarterback. This was the comeback player of the year. He's a back-to-back Pro Bowler. I mean, this is 2 years ago, 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. And you have Kenneth Walker. And now you have Zach Charbonnet coming off a rookie season. You have DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, JSN. You have such a lethal offense. And on paper, your defense is also literally loaded. And Mike Macdonald is going to change everything for this team. But still all summer, we didn't hear too much about this team. So before we get any further into today's video, if you guys enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content, post as many Seahawks videos as we possibly can. Jeez. If we try and get it to 200 likes, that would mean the absolute world to me. And also shout out to BetUS for sponsoring this video. I was reading a power ranking article and, Seattle comes in at 19. They're viewed as a mystery. But one thing I really noticed in the last week or so, because it's regular season football, and I even noticed this yesterday during my Green Bay Packers game, and frig, man, I really hope Jordan Love is okay. By the time most of you guys watch this, we'll probably know that. But anyways, they were doing, it was a whole mess. Peacock in Brazil, I mean, that was just kind of a dumpster fire. And they were doing a halftime show or whatever it was. And I remember hearing it, and one of the guys on it, and they were I can't remember the three faces, but they were all, I noticed all three of them, but I can't think of their names right now. And one of them had the Seattle Seahawks winning the NFC West. And then the other guy chimed in and he was like, well, they're going to have to battle it off with Los Angeles. And I'm like, what the hell happened to San Francisco? And then I was reading, my point is, I was watching The Herd yesterday, and that Peter Schrager guy, I think is what his name is. He's a reporter. He had his surprise team in the National Football League as the Seattle Seahawks. So my point just is, people are kind of finally starting to realize, oh, you know what? San Francisco is an extremely old team. There are a couple of injuries away from really having the regular season being halted. The Rams offensive line is really chaotic right now, and they're still just an extremely young team with an aging Matt Stafford. Seattle's coming off 9-8 seasons, and it really should have been, a little bit better. But the point just is, all right, guys, before we get back into this video, once again, shout out to BetUS for sponsoring this video. I want to give you one last opportunity that I am keeping my eye on. I'm going to show you step by step. We're going to go down to football. We're going to go down to NFL divisions right here. Folks, I don't think the San Francisco 49ers are going to win the division this season. And we're going to take these. Look right here. The Seattle Seahawks still plus 700 to win the NFC West. I'm liking it a lot. I think this team is extremely underrated. Once again, keep in mind, BetUS is offering 120% bonus on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000 with code YouTube150. Once again, 150% bonus on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000 with code YouTube150. Let's get back. Things are going to run more efficiently. They're going to run more effectively with Mike Macdonald as your new head coach. One thing that's flying under the radar to me is Kenneth Walker III, because last year he had such an underwhelming season, which just is not the way it should be. Seattle was a horrible rushing unit last year, and I think we all can agree it was time for Shane Waldron to get out there. Hopefully he can do his thing in Chicago. Maybe Seahawks fans don't feel that way, but I'm wishing him the best of luck in Chicago. But I'll use Kenneth Walker as a prime example. When he came into the league 2 years ago, he played in 15 games. He had 228 attempts, and he ran for 1,050 yards. That's about 70 yards per game. He also had 9 rushing touchdowns, and he averaged 4.6 yards per carry. Well, last year, Kenneth Walker played the same amount of games. He pretty much had the same amount of rushing attempts, but he only ran for 905 yards, which is about 60 yards per game, and he was only averaging 4.1 yards per carry. So it was a huge statistical drop-off from the year prior, and the offensive line was a mess. Just coaching-wise, Seattle wasn't the worst coaching staff by any means last year, but I just don't think they were, whether it was your head coach or a coordinator, I don't think they were getting the most out of their personnel because, once again, on paper, this is an extremely talented roster. I understand offensive line health, but it's an extremely talented roster. So now, what Mike McDonald's really interesting to me is because the last 5 years, the Ravens ran the ball freaking ton. Now, obviously, he was the defensive coordinator, but I saw an interesting statistic that the Seahawks were 25th in designed runs in the last 5 years, and they were 29th last season. So Mike McDonald hired Ryan Grubb from Washington with Michael Penix, Rome Odunze, Jalen McMillan, all these freaking studs. Like, Washington was in the championship game. They made the playoffs. And this is the University of Washington in the Pac-12 last year. Like, Washington in my lifetime has always been like a really solid team, but they were like one of the best. They were a second best team in the country last season. So I'm really excited for Ryan Grubb, the new offensive coordinator, because I think it really changes everything. I think he's going to be able to get the most out of Geno Smith. And once again, Geno's not a quarterback who's going to lose you games. He keeps it extremely clean. He's not going to do anything too crazy, but he can do crazy things. He's going to give you 240 to 260 passing yards per game, and his interception number isn't going to be anything higher than probably 10 or 11. So the defense is what's really catching everybody's eye because freaking Byron Murphy fell onto the Seahawks' lap because the offensive draft, it was, it's this generational quarterback haul. It's this generational wide receiver haul, all these different offensive players. And Byron Murphy literally falls onto this dude's lap, and he's playing with guys like Jaron Reed, Leonard Williams, Dramont Jones. This is a really, really, really good front seven. And the Seattle Seahawks defenders, they're already saying how different it is. Now national football media is starting to realize, Seattle did a really good job. They were already a really good football team, and they made all the great personnel hires. So now our eyes are set on Denver versus Seattle, Sunday at 4:05 Eastern time. And once again, man, Byron literally fell onto this freaking lap at 16. Geno Smith's extremely underrated. They have three phenomenal wide receivers. JSN is going to have a huge, crazy season. DK Metcalf is about to reinsert himself as one of the best young wide receivers in the National Football League. And then you have Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. But the point is, you're at home and you're going up against the Denver Broncos. Now, I do think Bo Nix will be a quality, capable quarterback in the National Football League, especially on Denver with Sean Payton. But this is a road game in Seattle versus a very veteran, polished team in Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks. So I don't really think it's going to be that close of a football game unless Bo Nix is as good as people are making him out to be. I do think Bo's a good player, but I think Seattle is just, a leg above Denver at this point in time. Not trying to rag on the Broncos. Maybe by the end of the season, I'm sure Bo Nix will be a lot more polished, but this is a rookie debut in Seattle. So my point in our last Seahawks video about a week ago was you have to win these divisional games because they're going to take care of teams like Denver, especially at home. But you can't go 2-4 in conference play. I would even take 3-3 in conference play. But Seattle is beatable this year. Los Angeles is beatable. Arizona sneaky rising up. But to me, this season's going to come down to divisional play for the Seattle Seahawks. That's all I got for today. If you guys enjoyed it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. Once again, shout out to BetUS for sponsoring this video. What I want to hear from you guys down below is a score prediction for tomorrow's matchup against Denver. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great weekend, and we will see you hopefully in a day